After class, John Kendall came in and he says, "You got to meet this kid." I said, "I was doing these things in class. I was talking about two different kinds of conditioning, classical conditioning and operant conditioning. And when I got done, he raised his hand and said, you know, these seem like two different things, but perhaps they have a common mechanism underneath. You know, and you don't find undergraduate students doing that in an undergraduate class." So I called him in, and yes, indeed, we had this young man who is just anxious to understand the mysteries of life. You know, one of the nice things about teaching at Gustavus is that you meet students and you try to think of things that you can do to help them. And with Yoshio, we sort of decided that the best thing we could do for him was to give him the keys to the laboratory and stay out of his way. And that's basically what we did. And all of a sudden you got the computer and you have all these semiconductor pieces of apparatus. And here was a kid from a little college in Minnesota who was just primed to go into this era, and he took every advantage that he possibly could. He was interested in figuring out a way of studying brain development. And so for this, you needed to be able to study the brains of really small children. And so he actually invented a device called the Baby Meg, which is a device that is used to measure brain activity in very small children. He's been willing to take on Gustavus students. I mean, he understands the importance of the kind of connection that we make with students here. And yeah, it's been wonderful. It'd be great to see him again. Yoshio, yeah, I mean, he's interested in finding out, solving problems. You know, and here you've got, you know, these developmental brain problems and this sort of thing. So this is what we need to do. We need to figure out how to do that sort of thing. Well, he's sort of quiet and unassuming, but on the other hand, you discover that he really has a wonderful sense of humor. And actually, he's delightful company when you get to know him. But the other thing is that he just has this passion for really understanding things. And I mean, even now, I mean, I think he's got to be at least retirement age by now, but he's still interested in finding out how the mind works. And, you know, we're sort of at the cusp of, we think anyway, of finding out what's actually happening in the brain as we sit here. You know, what is the nature of human consciousness and what makes it up in the brain? And, I mean, he's still actively pursuing this. I mean, he has, he's just loves to do that stuff. Yeah.